Hi everyone, I'm Nico Regino from Telum Media, and joining us today is the head of Southeast Asia at Mergermarket, Miss Likha Cuevas. Hi Likha, and thank you for joining us today, and I'm excited to speak with you.
Thank you for having me.
Likha, when I first learned your name, I found it to be extremely beautiful and unique. In our native language in Tagalog, Likha means to create or a creation.
Oh, did you know? I was told by one of my Indian colleagues, Likha in Hindi means writing.
Wow! So that really connects. Similarly, what started or created your interest in journalism, in writing?
Because I started as a writer. So in high school, I was already submitting literary pieces to Liwayway. It was just a natural progression that I go into journalism.
From the start of your editorial career, were you already intent on pursuing reporting on business news or financial journalism?
No, it was just an accident because when I was in undergrad, I was thinking of doing science journalism and more of like environmental journalism. I was way ahead of my way ahead because there's no such thing in the Philippines. I ended up as a national reporter for a broadsheet. I was doing special reports, and then that was in Manila Times, and then um Arnold Tenorio didn't have any Department of Finance or a macroeconomy reporter at that time. And I was just doing, so my assignment before was in the national page was special reports. So no, not much daily reporting. So parang, so it seems like might as well they use me for the daily beat reporting. Imagine on my first day as a business reporter way back in 2006,
Mhm.
I was assigned to cover the auction, the T-bills auction. I just knew about treasury bills in my
Mhm.
economics, but I mean covering it for the first time, and it was just a board of numbers, like literally numbers, and I'm gonna write a story from those numbers. I wasn't able to write anything on that day because I didn't
Mhm.
know how. That started it all. It
Nice.
was an accident. Training was in the sciences. We don't have science journalism here, I mean in the
At that
mainstream.
time. Mhm.
Yeah, so the best thing that I could go into like was business. It's
Mhm.
not related, but in essence, it's the same because you're gonna break down complex issues and you have to filter it down for your readers.
Mhm.
And the skill can be taught or can be taught in school or can be learned on the job.
Let's talk about Mergermarket. It's been a year since your appointment as head of Southeast Asia. How is your experience so far? And could you tell us more about it?
Okay. Before that, I was deputy bureau chief
Mhm.
for like 4 years before that. So it's not much of a difficult transition because I was helping manage the team even before the work from home or remote working became a thing post COVID or during COVID. We were like that. So I was helping way back in 2018 manage the team. Uh, and it's difficult because you have to be on your toes every day and without seeing your reporters, but you know it's it- you know it will bring out the kind of manager in you, um because you can't be a micromanager in that situation because you're only seeing your reporters occasionally, and then we we have like 11 different languages, major languages, but of course Southeast Asia has hundreds, 11 different markets, 11 different cultures or major cultures, and 11 political systems. So it's difficult to be on top of everything. um But since my experience as the deputy for 4 years, and then for and then transitioning into like the now managing the team, was not that different. But it's still very difficult, especially during COVID, when you can't move, you can't do anything, and we are very niche. What Mergermarket is basically is mergers and acquisitions, and to be more broad about it, it has something to do with
Can
investments.
only imagine. Picking up on that, you mentioned Mergermarket's topic of coverage is very niche. Um, for this, do you receive a lot of press materials or leads on these topics?
No,
Um,
because it's not every day that you have mergers and acquisitions stories, right? But that's our skill. We already see like M&A 2 years ahead. So again, even if what you pitch may not be mergers and acquisitions, we can already see potential in what you're pitching. So number one tip is to let us find our angles, not box us, because again, it's in the exploration of a company that you're trying to pitch where we get our story. So number two, learn about Mergermarket because uh I get like 100, literally 100 emails a day, and I'm subscribed to like several PR subscriptions. So I receive a lot of pitches, and I get our leads from that. Very helpful. The PRs are very helpful. But again, oh, of course, number three, um, please, if we contact you so you send us press release or whatnot, if we contact you, please respond.
I think those 3 points are very, very valuable for PRs who are going to watch this interview. And I mean, it's very difficult. Happy you said that, sifting through the process of hundreds of those emails. And I mean, the thought process and analysis is very valuable and needed for your publication. And I thank you for all those information. To sort of wrap this up, Likha, for aspiring or budding journalists who have yet to find their way into the industry, are there any pieces of advice for journalists who would want to follow on your footsteps, or maybe take on a similar track of doing business or financial reporting?
As I said, I was just accidental in this very niche because business itself is niche. I mean, not, it's funny that other people see business journalists as another. I mean, we're from a different planet. Even the way we dress, we present ourselves, they would say, "Oh, you're so formal in terms of like dressing up." But of course, we need to, because we're interviewing CEOs, and we're going to the stock exchange. Of course, we need to be presentable. Business reporting is already different, and it requires special skills in terms of very minute details. And going into my very, very, very niche segment, which is mergers and acquisitions, is another different ball game. When I'm hiring journalists, it's not what you had in what you studied. It's not what you were before, but what I look for is what is your willingness to learn. I mean, going into this requires a steep learning curve, but I quickly
Learn.
learned. I studied. I read all the materials that I could. I asked my editor. I asked all the reporters around me. And I studied and studied, watched the news before I went out of the house. I watch the news before I go to bed. I know that sounds crazy, but you have to learn in every little way so that you can keep up, because it's very fast paced, it's very technical, and you have your willingness to learn and be tenacious about it. That's the number one requirement.
Very, very valuable, and I think there's a lot to unpack there from everything that you've said. And I think the highlight would be that everything on this role is a never-ending learning process. So that's one key takeaway. Thank you very much, Likha, for your time today, and for those insights. It was great speaking with you.
Thank you.